Okay, thank you. So I'll let you know when to start, when the chairman starts, then you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kenneth Woodson, Chair of the Board of License Inspection Review. We will now call to order this meeting of the Board of License and Inspection Review for today, November 16th, 2021. I would initially ask if there's anyone who has a request for continuance or to report the status of any other resolved matters. What I will do in order to limit the level of confusion, based on the images on the screen, I will call the representatives of the law department in order. I'll start with Mr. Michael Rulo.
Good afternoon, board members. I'd like to first draw your attention to appeal number 1 on the list, ending in, I believe that's 1487, and the
Yes.
appellant is Aria Ludsker. We can mark that matter moot complied.
Moot complied? Okay.
Next, I'd like to draw your attention to number 2 on the list, ending in 0049, with the appellant as a Lao Young King.
Yes,
We can mark that matter moot complied.
moot complied. Thank you.
Sorry,
Third,
could you, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you repeat that, please?
it is, excuse me, should I proceed, board? Should I
Yes.
proceed? Okay,
Yes.
it's number 2 on the list, appeal ending 0049. The appellant is Lao Young King, and we can mark that matter moot complied.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to draw your attention to number 3 on the list, appeal ending 0054. The appellant is a Frank L. Turner, and we can mark that matter as moot.
Moot? Okay, thank you.
Finally, on my end, drawing your attention to number 5, appeal ending 2604. We can mark that matter. We would be requesting a continuance to December 14th.
Okay, that's regarding HA-2021-002604. And I think the name is Diogenes De Jesus Nunez Morel.
That's correct.
Retail case, 700 South 55th Street will be marked as continued.
Lastly, I would just draw your attention. I believe that this was something that was added to the list as number 12. It concerns an emergency appeal in 2853 South Randolph. I just wanted to identify that I am the member of the law department who will be handling that case.
Okay, so that's actually on the list that we have for today. It's number 11. That's the case number HA-2021-004814. That one is a emergency hearing. It's listed. Okay, so you will handle that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Jeffrey Cohen, do you have anything for us today?
I have a ready matter and intent to cease, but I am afraid I don't have any continuances or moots.
Okay, thank you. And see here, Ms. Caroline Curley, are you representing a case today?
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. Referring to, I think it's item number 4 on your list, appeal number 2021-2600, Dario Aguilera Pena.
Yes.
That was a continuance request made on November 9th, 2021 by our office. And we would be requesting the same date as reference, December 14th, 2021.
Okay, well, the continue, it will be listed as continued. And
Thank
work
you.
with the office, the administrator's office to determine the date.
Why would continue?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
It's here from Daria Aguilera.
Yes, so the city is requesting a continuance. And this is the first time a continuance has been requested. And so in accommodation to the city's request, we granted that continuance. Have you been in touch with the city's law department, sir, to discuss your matter?
No, I thought the hearing was today.
It is. It was scheduled for today. The city has asked for a continuance. And the board is has granted that request, but I guess what I'm asking you, are you the store owner, property owner in this matter?
The store owner.
Okay, and do you have a lawyer representing you, or are you doing it yourself?
Myself.
Okay, so what we've just done, we've agreed with the city to continue the matter to a later date. Are you objecting to that?
I think if we can, if we can resolve that matter today, it would be better.
Okay, the city isn't prepared to proceed. What I would recommend be probably helpful if you would check in with, I think it's Ms. Curley, you're presenting that matter?
That's correct.
Yes, Ms. Curley, if you could connect with the appellant and see where we are in terms of the case being resolved, okay? Also, for the record, what was the request based on, the continuance request?
This was the city's first request, and also our request was largely based on the fact that we were given, I believe, 3 or 4 days notice of this hearing, and our representative was not available for today's date.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right.
Okay, so when it was moved to? December
The
what?
date, the new date has not been set.
Okay,
I think
Okay,
an
that will be.
attorney is needed in that case.
Sir, are you the sole owner of this business?
yes, I am.
Is this a corporation?
Yes,
Okay, if it's an incorporated entity, you need to be represented by a lawyer.
because I talked to someone in the city and they told me that I can represent myself regarding this
Okay.
matter.
If it's an incorporated entity, how is it incorporated?
It's an S corp.
S corp? Yeah, you need an attorney. What I would like you to do, if you could touch base with Ms. Caroline Curley, and she can give you more detail.
Okay,
Okay, and also when you return, we'll need to have you participate on video so we can identify you.
correct.
Okay? All right,
Yes,
thank you
all right.
very much.
Ms. Curley, would you mind giving the gentleman your phone, your office phone number? So we
That's
can
fine.
write it down.
215, let me know when you're ready, Mr. Pena.
I'm ready.
Okay. 215-683-5150.
Okay,
And you can also email me. It's just my name with a period in the middle at phila.gov. Okay.
so your name, your full name, the first and last name?
First and last name, there's a dot in the middle. And then at phila.gov.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Davis, do you have anything for us?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon, board. I believe it's listed as number 11 on today's list. The appellant is Kim Choing. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay. It's number 12 on the day's list, but are you, do you here to announce a settlement or just to announce that you will be representing the city in this matter?
I will be representing the city in this matter.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
I will be backup counsel in that matter. just
okay,
for-
thank you. Mr. Johns, Christopher Johns, are you with us today?
I'm only on observing today. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty. We'll need to come up with a code for people who are only observing. So, is anyone else from representing the city? Ms. Curry, do you have any, Lauren Curry, you have anything for us today?
Good afternoon. I am also only observing. My colleague Alexandra Athanasiadis is representing PWD today.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. And
Good
so-
afternoon, Mr. Woodson.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alexandra Athanasiadis, and I'm representing the Philadelphia Water Department. Currently on your list, we have matters 6 through 9.
Okay,
Number 6, property owner's name Pavlina Mihaly, property address 1816 Tustin Street.
okay.
Um,
We'll also need the appeal number for the record.
Oh, for the record, I apologize. It would be HA 2021-003618,
Okay,
and that matter is moot complied.
move complied, thank you.
The next item on the list is number,
Please proceed. Excuse me, Mr. Rawls, You're on, would you mute yourself, please? If whoever's controlling, the administrator, would you put him take him out, please? URALDs. Please take him out. He's interfering with the hearing.
The phone, the
Yes.
phone caller? Okay.
Yep. He's not on mute. And if you can communicate with him, ask him to put himself on mute, that would be good. But otherwise, we have to proceed. He's
I
interfering.
can mute him.
Mute, please do that.
Okay, I did. Thank you.
Okay,
The next
Please.
item, Mr. Woodson, is number 7, appeal number HA 2021-003619. Appellant Louis R. DeFranco, property address 2934 New Hope Street. That matter
Okay.
is also moot complied.
thank you.
The next item is number 8, appeal number HA 2021-003620. Appellant Stephen Del Giorno, property address 1229 East Moyamensing Avenue. That item is also moot complied.
Thank you.
And the last one, sir, is number 9 on your list. Appeal number HA 2021-003622. Appellant Ernest Cuff, property address 5941 East Worcester Street. And that matter is also moot complied.
Thank you very much.
And
Okay.
that would complete my items on the list, Mr. Woodson.
Thank you. Welcome to
Mr.
the
Woodson.
board. Yeah. Who's speaking?
Well, yeah, a quick question. What does moot complied mean? I'm
Okay.
Louis DeFranco.
Well, Mr. DeFranco, what that means is that the matter has been repaired and resolved. The problem has been resolved to the water department's satisfaction.
Okay, do we need to hold on for the rest of the hearing or can we disconnect?
You can disconnect.
But both of you, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Okay, very good. Bye-bye.
Okay, I think that resolves most of the outstanding matters on today's list, except for the 3 remaining items, which are all identified as intent to cease. So we will begin to proceed with those. Okay, what I would like then, first of all, before we begin, is the board itself will introduce us, and we will introduce ourselves just once so that those who are participating today will understand and know who you're working with. And then we will proceed to call each case in order. Again, I'm Kenneth Woodson, Chair of the Board of License and Inspections Review.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Steve Pettit, board member. Edward Jefferson, counsel for the board.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Bill Mathis, Boards Administration.
Okay, thank you very much. And each person who will act as a witness today will, of course, be sworn before they are allowed to give testimony on the record. So let us call the first case or the next case.
Mr. Woodson, this is Wayne Maynard. May
Yes.
I inquire briefly?
Yes.
Mr. Rulo mentioned, I think it was number 3, that was moot complied.
Yes.
I represent the owners of 3353 Emerald Street. I don't have the appeal number, but I'm wondering if that is the same address.
Well, the address is 3353. That's what's attached to appeal number HA 2021-00054. So probably good if you could connect directly with counsel.
I'm sorry, Mr. Woodson, what was that appeal number?
HA 2021-000054.
Okay, and the address there is 3353 Emerald?
Yes.
Okay.
If I may, Chairman Woodson, just to
Yes.
clarify for the record. So I had requested to mark that matter moot because the property, and the reason for that is that the property is going through the zoning process. So it was, I'd requested to mark it moot rather than moot complied.
Okay.
Because it is in the process of getting complied via that zoning process. I just wanted to make that distinction clear.
Okay, that's important. That's an important distinction. Okay, thank you. It's moot.
All right, may I be excused then, Mr. Woodson?
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
day. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Okay, let us proceed to the next matter.
Number 10 on the
Oh,
list, Mr.
Yes,
Woodson?
before you do that, I'd ask everyone participating in the hearing, with the exception of the board itself and board staff. If you're not speaking or participating in a particular matter, will you please mute yourself? Mute yourself rather. It's important that we are able to eliminate all the background noise. These microphones are incredibly sensitive. So thank you very much for your cooperation. Okay, Ms. Richardson, let's call on the next case.
Case number 10, appeal number HA-2021-004461 for 4345 Lancaster Avenue, Eleanor Nelson.
Okay, thank you. Is Eleanor Nelson present?
Yes, could you hear me?
Yes,
Could you
Ms.
hear-
Nelson, can you join us
Yes.
by video?
Is
I'm
Inspector
trying
De Jesus here?
Sir, I apologize. This is my first time using Zoom, and I have not been able to do that. So I don't have
Okay.
anyone here who can help me. I
Okay,
don't want
all
to
right.
get disconnected. I wanted you to know I am here.
Okay, well, okay. Are you the owner of the property or resident in the property?
I am owner of the property.
You're the owner of the property? Are you the
Yes,
sole
I
owner,
am.
or is there other owners attached to the property?
I am sole owner,
Is there a corporate owner or individual owner as a person?
individual owner.
Okay, all righty. Mr. Cohen, do you have witnesses that may or may not be available?
I'm actually trying to ascertain whether Inspector De Jesus has the right Zoom link. If we could place this matter on hold, I'll reach out to him and see if he has the right link.
Okay, for the record, we're going to put this matter on hold and move on to the next matter. We'll come back to you. You aren't representing the next case on Randolph Street, are you?
If I may,
Okay.
Mr. Woods and Mr. Chairman, is
Yes,
there
sir.
any way for the city, either through Ms. Richardson or Ms. Mathis, to contact Ms. Nelson and see if they can help her figure out how to get her video connected? Because she's
Okay.
She looks like she's using
I
video at the
see you
moment.
guys now.
Okay, let's do
I
this.
see you guys. You see
Ms.
me?
Richardson, I know that we have a IT person providing assistance today. Could you, with someone in the office, give a call to Ms. Nelson, see if there's a way to help her get on camera?
I
While we're
believe
handling
Ms.
this next
Nelson
matter?
is on camera and is also connected via phone. So I think
She is
there's
on,
two
she is, she's
entries.
off
Oh,
to the
she's on,
left.
okay, okay. I do see the other image. Okay, Ms. Nelson, you may, okay, whatever other device you were using, you may need to hang up on that one. But thank you. We're gonna just stay where you are, and we're gonna move on to another case, and we'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Okay. If we're moving on to 11, I have to have Ms. Kim go get the appellant to bring.
Okay, what about 12?
We can do 12 if you like.
Let's do 12. Let's do 12.
Okay. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Case number 12, appeal number HA-2021-004882 for 2952 Richmond Street, Kim Chung, Stella Holdings LLC.
Okay. Mrs. Young, are you present?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Can everyone hear me or see me?
You do have a slight echo, but we can see you.
Okay. Maybe I'll speak closer to the microphone.
Okay,
Can you hear? How's this better?
that's better. Who is representing the city in this matter?
I will be representing the city, Dejanay Davis, on behalf of
Okay,
the city of Philadelphia.
Do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I do have one witness.
Okay.
Before we proceed, I just want to inquire as to whether or not the appellant has obtained counsel as required by the board.
Okay,
No, I haven't. I'm going to be representing myself. Is that okay? I'm the owner of the building.
okay. Is the city raising an issue in terms of the legality of Mr. Young representing himself in this matter?
No, I just wanted to confirm, although appellant is the owner, the appeal was filed under his LLC, Stella Holdings LLC. but I'm
Okay.
I'm okay to proceed if the board wants to proceed.
Okay, let's do this then. In order to, given that this is an intent to cease, let's do this. Mr. John, what is the correct pronunciation of your full name?
You said it correctly. It's Chung.
Chung, okay.
Yes.
Mr. Chung, I will need to swear you in and also have you confirm for the record that you in fact are the sole party to the LLC Stella Holdings. Okay, so would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth, so help you God, and in fact you are the sole member of the Stella Holdings LLC?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, because if there's more than one individual, and quite frankly, we often prefer to have an attorney represent corporate entities.
Yes, I understand. No, I am the sole owner. I have an LLC paperwork if you need to confirm that.
That may be helpful for the record, but we won't need it for today. Now, this is how we will proceed. Ms. Davis, representing the city, will present her case after she's done that and put on her witnesses. Mr. Chung, you will have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses as well as put on your case, after which the board will deliberate and render a decision.
Okay.
Ms. Davis and everyone, of course, will be under oath. Ms. Davis, please proceed.
Yes, thank you, board. The city calls Inspector Conway.
Hello.
Okay.
May I proceed?
Yeah, I need to swear him in.
Mhm.
Mr. Conway, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay.
May I
please
proceed?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Inspector. Could you please introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Inspector Brian Conway, City of Philadelphia Licensed Inspector. Licensed Inspector prior to Inspector.
Mr. Conway, we're having difficulty hearing you. So if there's a way to turn your volume up and sit closer to the mic.
Can you hear me better?
That's better. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Conway, how long have you been with license and inspections?
A little over 5 years.
And can you briefly describe some of the duties as an inspector for LNI?
Yes, my responsibility, I'm responsible for all existing structures. I do property maintenance and enforce fire code violations. I inspect, once again, all existing structures.
And are you familiar with the property at 2952 Richmond Street?
I am.
And how are you familiar with that property?
Upon doing an inspection on September 29th, 2021, I observed a mixed-use building with no fire alarm system installed.
And prior to today, did you have the opportunity to review the LNI and public records regarding this property?
Yes, I have.
And after you discovered these violations, did you inform the owner of these violations?
The owner was informed via a notice of violation.
Now, if I were to show you that notice of violation here today, would you recognize it?
Yes, I would.
Or permission to show the witness what has been marked as City Exhibit 1?
Yes, we're permitted to share the screen, so.
Okay, thank
it
you.
should be, okay.
Can you see my screen, Inspector?
Yes, I can.
Do you recognize this exhibit, Inspector?
Yes, I do. This is a notice of violation to Stella Holdings LLC. The date of the notice is October 1st, 2021.
And scrolling down, can you just briefly describe some of the violations you found at 2952 Richmond Street?
Yes. So once again, I observed that this was a mixed-use building with no fire alarm system installed. Philadelphia Fire Code states that any mixed-use building or any R2 building with 3 or more units must have a fire alarm system installed. So we asked the owner to, number one, have a licensed contract to obtain electrical permit to install a fire alarm system. Number 2, to install said fire alarm system. And number 3, to have that fire alarm system certified by the electrical contractor. Also, there are several other fire code violations. Have fire extinguishers installed, mounted, and tagged. Have exit signs installed and illuminated. And then there was another case for a certificate of occupancy as well.
Okay. Now, the appellant has filed an appeal regarding the notice for intent to seize. Was that notice also sent to the appellant?
They filed, the appellant filed that bill.
But was a notice to seize, intent to seize sent to the owner?
Oh, yes, it was. I'm sorry. Yes, it was.
Okay. Would you recognize a copy of that if I were to show you today?
Yes, I would.
Inspector Conway, do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a notice of intent to cease operations and order issued to the appellant Stella Holdings for the property located at 2952 Richmond Street. And it states that the corrections needed is to have a licensed contractor install and certify the required fire alarm system in the mixed-use property at 2952 Richmond Street.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen for the moment. Now, Mr. Conway, are all mixed properties required to have a fire alarm system, certified fire alarm system?
Yes, it is. Anytime you have a business or commercial residential on the same property, that's a mixed-use property, they're required to have a fire alarm system installed.
And if you can recall, what qualified this property to be a mixed-use property?
There is a beauty salon on the first floor and residentials on floors 2 to 3.
I'm going to share my screen again. Inspector, I'm showing you what has been marked as City Exhibit 4. Do you recognize this?
Zoning permit.
And on the zoning permit, can you just read the details regarding this zoning permit?
And the additional use details, says personal services on first floor with multi-family household living for 3 dwelling units as previously approved. No signs on this permit.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Can I interject that real quick?
No, sir, you can come back to that after they finish.
Okay, all right.
Now, Mr. Conway, can you explain the importance of having a certified fire alarm system in a mixed-use property,
Yes,
such
so-
as this one?
Yes, anytime you have a business or commercial and residential on the same property.
Excuse me, Mr. Conway, I'm having difficulty hearing you again. Can you either turn your volume up or move closer to your phone? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, anytime you have a mixed-use property, the concern is always the safety of the residential. In the event that a fire was to break out in the commercial space 2, 3 in the morning, we need to be able to alert the residents of the property that they need to evacuate the property. It's just the purpose of the fire alarm system.
Now, to your knowledge, what is the current condition of the property at 2952 Richmond Street?
I was never able to get into the residential, but I was able to get into the commercial space. The commercial space, like I said, it's a newly installed beauty salon with and the property has residential above.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, has the appellant acquired the required certified fire alarm system?
Not as of yet, no.
And to your knowledge, has the appellant made any attempts to obtain the certified fire alarm system?
I was just looking in the system for the required electrical permit to install, and I don't see that one has been obtained. So my answer would be no.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Inspector Conway, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Now, if appellant was to obtain the required permit, will it appear under this section of this document?
Yes, it would.
And for the record, I'm showing Inspector Conway what has been marked as city exhibit number 6. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, Inspector Conway, you also previously mentioned notice of violation regarding a certificate of occupancy. When did you re-inspect the property at 2952 Richmond Street, if you can recall?
And did I re-inspect?
Well, when did you go, when was the notice of violation issued regarding the certificate of occupancy?
That particular violation was written October 27th, 2021.
And if I were to show you that notification, notice of violation, would you be able to recognize it?
Yes, I would.
I'm going to share my screen. I'm showing Inspector Conway what has been marked as City Exhibit 17. Inspector Conway, do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
So notice of violation in order to correct the violation. And in this,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
This particular notice of violation, we're asking the owner to, one, obtain a certificate of occupancy, and also to remove the double key locks on the front gate of the residential access area.
Now, regarding their certificate of occupancy, can you explain the significance of obtaining such a certificate regarding this property?
The certificate of occupancy states exactly what the building is used for.
Now, can a certificate of occupancy be acquired if the property does not have a certified fire alarm system?
Now that right there would be the building division. In my observation on this particular property, no, because it's a mixed use building.
Okay. Now I'm also going to draw your attention to what has been marked as exhibits 7, 10, and 12. Looking at exhibit 7, Inspector Conway, do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a picture of the front exterior showing the beauty salon and the awning sign, along with residential on the second and third floor.
And when was this photo taken, Inspector?
October 27th, 2021.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to exhibit 10. Inspector Conway, do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a picture of the interior of the beauty salon at the front door. My purpose for taking this picture was to show that there is no manual fire alarm pull station there. In the event that a fire alarm was installed, there would be a pull station within 5 feet of all entrances.
And Inspector Conway, when was this photo taken?
October 27th, 2021.
I'm now going to draw your attention to what has been marked as exhibit 12.
Yeah.
Inspector Conway, do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a picture of the interior of the beauty salon.
This is a Board of Eleanor review case.
Inspector Conway, is there anything else you feel the board should hear regarding the property in this matter at 2952 Richmond Street?
No, that's pretty much covers it.
Thank you. I have no further questions for the witness at this time.
Okay, sir, would you remain available, please? Mr. Chong, do you have any cross-examination or questions of the witness based on his testimony?
Oh, yes. So under the one exhibit, it says that fire alarm is needed in 3 dwelling unit. Is that correct? Or
A mixed
what
use,
is that?
mixed
Yeah.
use, sir. So your property was initially zoned as 3-family dwelling. 3-family dwelling. Now, also in the fire code, it states that your property would be listed as a R2, meaning 3 or more living units. Anytime you have 3 or more living units, you're required to have a fire alarm system installed.
But the correction to that is it's only 1 living unit. There's only 1 family up there.
Okay, so you should have had your zoning corrected. But it is still a mixed-use property, so therefore you do need.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
I just want to
Mr. Chung?
know.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chung?
Well, I just want to know the
No. We have to follow in order. Do you have any
Okay.
other questions
Yes.
of Mr. of the inspector, Mr.
This is
Conway?
new lawyers.
Can I proceed?
Yeah, I'm asking, do you have any other additional questions of Mr. Conway?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I just wanted to let him know that my electrician submitted the
no,
application.
Mr. Chung, this isn't time for testimony. This is time for questioning. So you will have
Okay.
an opportunity to testify at in
Okay.
a few moments. Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't
but
have any
there-
further questions then.
Okay, Ms. Davis, do you have additional witnesses?
No, I have no more witnesses.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chung, please share with us your understanding of
Okay.
why we're in this situation.
All right. So I purchased the building last year. It came just like that, and I wasn't unaware of everything that is not up to code as far as the building goes. So my electrician has actually submitted an application or a permit to install. I got architecture, drew the plans for fire alarm. So I'm gonna get this done and bring the building up to compliant and code. And then I think the last thing once that is done is to get the occupancy, use of occupancy. And that should be, I'm just asking for more time, I guess.
Okay, okay. I think everyone probably would have several questions. Ms. Davis, do you have any questions of Mr. Chung?
No questions at this time.
Okay, I do have a few questions that other members of the board may have questions as well. Mr. Chung, what was the date of purchase of that building?
It was 2020, January 2020.
Okay, and what was the occupancy when you purchased it?
What do you mean by that?
How was it occupied?
There was
it
a
vacant?
the same.
Was it a vacant building?
No, there was a family. The same family lives upstairs.
One
And then
family
there
upstairs?
was,
Okay,
yes.
I want to be very specific. One family, how many bedrooms on which floor?
3 bedrooms total. There's 3 bedrooms total. 1 bedroom up on the top floor, the 3rd floor, and 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor. And
Okay.
there was a lash salon there, and she left the place, and I got a new tenant in there, and she's operating as a hair salon.
Okay,
So the building,
So you're renting the building out as one apartment on the 2nd and 3rd floor and one commercial use on the 1st floor. That's how it's being, you using it?
yes, correct,
Okay.
correct.
Do you own other investment property in the city of Philadelphia?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Roughly how many units? You don't need to give me the address. How many units?
Like 2 units, 3. They're kind of mixed,
Okay. How long have you owned investment property in the city?
Probably about 4 years, 5 years.
Okay. All righty. Okay. And so is it your testimony today that you were not aware of the code requirements for investment property,
Correct.
even though you're an experienced investor?
I wouldn't say experience because some of the buildings, I bought the building, like another building came with the fire alarm system already. And, when I purchased this building, why didn't it have a fire alarm system and everything up to code when I purchased it? I didn't know. Had I known, I would have never bought the building or asked for a reduction, because now I have to spend more money on installing a fire alarm system. I would have never bought the building for the price that I bought it for.
And I guess the question that would be asked of you is why not get the appropriate advice from architects contractors and or legal advice before you buy.
Yes, you're correct. It's a stupid mistake that I should have done.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions of Mr. Chung?
Well, I guess I do want to understand, when you bought the building, there was a residential use and a commercial use on the first floor, right?
Correct. Correct.
And you said the tenant on the first floor moved out and there became another commercial use on the first floor that was different than the use that was there when you bought the property. Is that correct?
It's the same use, basically. It's personal use, hair salon, lash salons, same type of business.
So then when you bought the property, it was incumbent, if you know that, it was your duty to make sure that there was an occupancy permit and a use permit for the personal care use and the residential use. At the time you purchased it in January of 2020, we're now almost 2 years after that. And you only got the necessary zoning approvals in September of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, because that's when the new tenant came in and the new tenant applied for the permit, the personal use.
The use that was in the property was the same use that was in the property when you bought it, right?
Correct, correct.
So either you or the tenant, one of you had to have a use permit for that use, whether it was the tenant or the legal owner. That use goes to the property, not to the individual. Do you understand?
Okay, yes.
So one way or another, that was a failing that wasn't attended to when you became the owner of the property.
So I got a question on that. The previous owner who owned it, if he owned it, shouldn't he have that use of occupancy already? And you only need one, right? How come he didn't have it?
Oh, why he didn't have it? We don't know. That was the question you should have asked before you purchased the property.
Yeah, see, I'm learning as we speak, so I'm not a seasoned veteran investor, so.
One of the reasons sometimes when people buy real estate, they engage the services of an experienced real estate attorney so that these kinds of things can be prevented.
Now, we now have buildings that are occupied with serious fire code problems. And they're, particularly the residential uses upstairs, are at significant risk because you don't have the necessarily required fire system in place. So that brings us to this point of intent to cease, which requires that the property be vacated. So you understand what that represents, correct?
Yes.
Okay, anything else from anyone?
I realize this is unorthodox, but I think I might be able to clear up some of Mr. Chung's confusion just by speaking.
You introduce yourself, please.
I'm Jeffrey Cohen. I'm a city attorney. I've dealt with many of these types of cases before.
Okay.
Specifically with respect to changing uses and changing occupancies, there's actually a requirement under our law that when you change the use or occupancy, you need to go through this permitting and certificate of occupancy process, because L&I will do inspections of the property to determine whether it is safe for a particular new occupancy. And that means an inspector will come out, they'll determine whether you need emergency lighting, a fire alarm system, different types of safety features in your building. And what's happened here is, even before that has happened, even before a certificate of occupancy has been reached, we already have an inspector who's saying that you have fire code violations to address. So that means that in this process, you would need to first address those violations and then call for an inspector under, I think there's an application for a CO already in progress. So you'd need to call for an inspection under that application and then have L&I go through with this inspection process to make sure that it is safe for the people, not just in the apartments above, but the people and patrons of the business on the first floor. And after that process is completed, you would get your CO, which represents essentially a legal or lawful occupancy of that property. At that point, you can have people come in, have people live there and work there, and gain money from rents of that property. Does that make sense?
Yes.
For the record, I just want to be clear on one additional matter. the residential units, you say they're it's only being occupied by one family. Are there more, is there more than one kitchen on the, in those two units? Is there a kitchen on
No,
the
it's only
second and the
one.
third floor?
There's
Okay.
a kitchen on the first floor.
Only on the first floor?
Correct.
Because the record would indicate that there are two units in that building. So do you, Mr., and I'll ask Mr. Conway this, does the record indicate whether or not any permits have been drawn for construction at that location for the last, say, 5 to 10 years?
No, I don't see it. I don't see that. No.
And it's from the photographs, it appears that that building's been recently renovated. These are photographs that you will put on the record.
The commercial space, yes.
Okay, but there are no permits showing in the record.
No.
Okay.
Just for the tenant trying to obtain the necessary paperwork for her salon.
Okay, but only point I'm making is that if the renovations were done before this tenant moved in and they were done without permits, that's a problem. And your record should indicate whether electrical, plumbing, and building permits have been pulled for that space.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Can I say something?
Let me go back before you speak. The zoning permit that was introduced as Exhibit 4, and I guess this is something that's going to have to be addressed. The zoning permit that's dated September 17th of 2021 lists the details for the use at the property as personal services on first floor with multifamily household living for 3 dwelling units as previously approved, no signs. So that's what's listed as the permitted use in the property, not a personal care on the first floor in one apartment. Now, I don't know whether you need to change that, or if you have only one instead of 3, that probably would be okay, as long as you're only having one kitchen and bathroom for the residential portion and whatever is required for the first floor. I don't know if Inspector Conway wants to address this, but we're obviously hearing one thing and there's another thing that's been, another information that's been admitted on the record.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Conway.
This property is a mixed use property. Even if you do have just one residential, being as though you do have a business in the same dwelling, it's a mixed use property and you are required to have a fire alarm system. Your
Okay.
zoning, when I look up the zoning for your particular property, it states that it's 3-family dwelling. So you may need to get that changed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we've heard all the relevant testimony on this matter. Unless someone else has another question from the board, we will then call the vote. With regard to appeal number HA-2021-004882, 2952 Richmond Street, City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Mr. Pettit, you're being muted. You voted. The 2 votes so far, city affirmed.
City affirmed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chairman
But
Woodson.
just for a moment, before you say anything, I just, for the record, should reflect that this majority vote city affirmed in this matter. Ms. Davis, you have something you want to add?
Yes, I just request that all the exhibits that were presented today be so admitted.
Okay, everything permitted as for the record will be admitted. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your participation and your cooperation. Have a good afternoon. Mr. Conway, if you have anything to say, check in with your lawyer first. Witnesses don't speak unless they talk to their lawyers first.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else though, because this matter is resolved, let us move on to the next thing. Thank you so much.
Can I say something?
It's done now, but what else would you like to say?
So
we
what's
voted.
the step? What's the
vote
status?
the vote is city affirmed, meaning the city's case, city is presented and won its case, and your appeal was denied. And so what you can do is talk to Ms. Davis and or the inspector who's been working with you to talk about next steps.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cohen, did you find your witness?
Thankfully, yes. We have
Okay.
here Inspector De Jesus.
Okay, so let's, your case number 10, is that correct?
That's correct. Let's just make sure that Ms. Nelson is able to get back.
Okay. Ms. Nelson, are you still with us?
Yes, can you hear
She's
me?
here twice.
I can hear you, but we need to see you.
I don't know what to do because someone tried calling and now where I was, there's like a little icon.
She's in here.
Okay.
She just has to turn on her video.
Yeah, there you go. You're
Sorry.
connecting. I believe you're now connecting the video to the other location.
And Inspector De Jesus, is your audio working? But your sound is on mute, so we can't hear you necessarily. One moment.
It says
Inspector?
unmute. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. All righty.
Ms. Nelson, can you turn on your camera?
Ms. Nelson?
So it looks like she dropped her phone call to us, even though she's still connected via, I guess, an app. I'm
Okay,
not sure if she can still hear us. We may need to go back on hold if she's unavailable.
okay, yes. Let's do that. Let's put it back on hold, then let's move on
Okay.
to Mr. DeForio on South Randolph Street. Is everyone available for that matter?
This is Michael Rouleau. I am ready to proceed on that one. Chairman.
Okay, you have witnesses who will be testifying today?
Yes, I believe that Inspector Moto is, yes, I see him there. He is the witness from L&I for this matter.
Okay.
The appellant
and
is with Kim.
Okay, could she could have Mr. DeForio present, please?
Yes, he's here.
Hello?
Okay, Mr. DeForio?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Oh, Ms. Nelson? Hello?
Yes.
Uh,
Hi.
Hello,
I don't know what-
because you got disconnected, we moved on to the next case, so just stand by, okay? We'll get back to you shortly.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, just stand by. Okay, let's move on to the next case, please.
I'll read in the case, number 11.
Yes.
Okay. Case number 11, appeal number HA-202-00.
Okay. we have this on-
2853 South Randolph Street.
They're not gonna do it.
Ronald
Okay.
DeForio,
Fury, yes.
Fury, sorry,
Fury.
thank you.
It's okay.
Before we get started, there's someone in the room with people talking in your space. If you're in that space, would you mute yourself, please? Mr. Moto, would you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Okay, Ms. Richardson, would you read that in again, because I could not hear it?
Sure, that's fine. Case number 11, appeal number HA-2021-004814.
Okay, thank you very much.
2853 South Randolph Street,
Okay,
DeFurio.
Mr. Furio, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. And Mr. Rouleau, who is your witness, Mr. Rouleau?
It is Inspector Philip Moto.
Mr. Moto, is it possible for you to be in a quieter space, or you can't control it?
I can't control it, but let me see if I can find another officer. Give me just a second.
Okay.
You just talk into this.
Yeah, just talk. They can definitely-
Okay, sir, I found another office.
Oh, good, thank you. Okay, and you need to be sworn, so raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, thank you very much. You place your hand down. Mr. Rulo, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Before proceeding with the substance of the testimony and argument here, I believe that the board can dispose of this matter rather quickly here for a couple of different reasons. So the first issue here is that the appellant is not the owner, and so he does not have standing to contest the violation or the cease here. The second issue is that no one, including the appellant, appealed the underlying notice of violation that is the basis of the cease. So as a result, the factual circumstances and dangerous conditions underlying the intent to cease here are deemed admitted and not subject to dispute. And then third, and probably most importantly, the appellant's appeal does not contest or dispute the existence of the violations. It merely asks for more time so that he can find alternative housing to get out of the property. The department issued the intent to cease on October 26th. So I think that what might make sense is if the appellant can inform us how much time he needs to vacate the property, and then it would probably be most efficient and appropriate that we can likely reach an agreement, have the board issue a city affirm with an appropriate stay of enforcement.
Okay, let's go back and deal with each of these matters for the record, okay?
Thank you.
Mr. DeFurio, regarding your relationship to the property, what is your current relationship to the property? Are you the owner?
No, and
Are you the resident? Do you
yeah,
live there?
yes, and
Okay,
again, like the gentleman just said, if I can get 30 days, maybe less, I'll be
Okay.
out of there.
well, let's do this. Before we get to that, I just want to make sure we address these issues as they've been raised by Mr. Rulo.
Okay, fine.
And so with regard to standing as a tenant, you have a lease for your space where you're living now, sir?
Yes, it's month to month at this point.
Month to month, okay. Given that, we would consider him to have standing because he is impacted by the decisions there.
Do I
Now, in
have-
terms of the underlying matters, the violations, et cetera, did the owner submit an appeal or take any action to make repairs? Mr. Rulo?
No, he's not. I don't even think it's his real name. His real name that I know of him is John Costa, but these are legalities that I don't know.
Okay. So Mr. Rulo has proposed suggested rather that the city would be willing to negotiate a time frame with you that would permit you to move out of the property. Are you opposed to that, Mr.?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Does anyone else on the board have any comments before we move on with this? Okay. All right.
Chairman, if I may very quickly, I believe that Mr. DeForio, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name, indicated that he needed 30 days. What I would ask is that I think it's been a little bit over 20 days since we issued the notice of violation. So what I'd ask is if he believes that he can get out of there in 15 days. And the reason for that, just to clarify, is that we do have concerns about his safety. So if it's possible for him to get out of there sooner, that would obviously be preferred. But I would just like to hear if he thinks that's possible. You know, we're really trying to work with him here to.
Yes, I'm actively looking for a place because I don't believe it's a safe place either, but I wouldn't want to swear to 15 days, but I'm trying, believe me. If I can get out there in 3 days, I would, but I have to find another place, and I certainly don't want to be homeless with my pets. So I'm asking for 30 days only because, I just don't want to be caught, but I'm not even concerned with taking the stuff out of there. I can leave my clothes and my pets, and believe me, if I can get out in 4 days, I'll get out. I don't want to be there any longer than I have to. But
okay.
I can't.
Let's do this.
Because then I would be lying. I don't want to lie to a court.
Okay. But for the record, though, I need to hear, Mr. Rulo, I need to hear the underlying facts of this matter for the record.
Understood. If I could call Inspector Moto then, and we can proceed in that manner.
Yeah, because we need to make a record of what we're dealing with here.
I figured I would raise those and see if we could find a resolution first, but I completely understand that we need to build that record in this, given how this proceeded.
Yeah, and I think we have an end in sight. We just have to fill in the spaces in between.
I see.
You muted, unfortunately, Mr. Rulo.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate it. Inspector Moto, could you identify yourself and your position with the department?
Philip Motto, MOTTO, Department of Licenses and Inspections, South District Code Enforcement.
Okay, and Inspector Moto, give me 1 second. I'm going to put a document up on the screen here. Pardon 1 second, it is not wanting to load. Here we go. Can everyone see the document I just put up?
Yes.
Okay. Inspector Moto, are you familiar with the property at 2853 South Randolph Street?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, and are you the inspector that has gone out to that property?
I am one of the inspectors that have gone out to that property, sir.
Okay, and do you recognize this document?
This is a notice of violation in order to correct.
Okay, and is this a document that the department regularly keeps in its course of business?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and is this in fact a document that comes from the business, the records of the department?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So can you identify, I'm scrolling down here to the subject violations. Could you walk us through what these violations are?
Yes, sir. The first violation, A301-1/65, is for a new use permit. The violation there was written because when the initial inspector went out, they made a determination that there was a basement apartment in the property and it was tenant occupied by Mr. DeForio.
Okay, and can you explain to the board what the risks are associated with having one of these illegal basement units?
The basement unit, specifically this one in question, is in close proximity to the mechanical equipment for the property. It features no escapable windows or doors, save for the one door that would serve the property.
Okay, and so you identified an electrical issue. Could you walk the board through specifically what you identified in terms of the electrical issue?
Yes, as you enter the basement apartment, you're entering through what would have originally been the rear entry door of the property. As you come in, you walk underneath the deck. If you look immediately to your right, there is the electrical panel box, which was an open box. It was missing its cover. It had open connections there. There were also open electrical wiring junctions to the left of the property where wires had been spliced off of one another and the connections were just left in an open fashion. Both of these conditions were in the direct path of travel that Mr. DeForio would have to use for his only means of egress out of the property in the event of a fire. And more importantly, that's the only means of entry the fire department could possibly make to try to get either him or his pets out of that building. That's why we felt it's such a serious nature that it should not be left on alone. There have been no attempts at repairs made, at least as of my last inspection.
Okay, and I'm going to stop the screen share for 1 second and put up some photographs. 1 second, please. I apologize for the delays. My computer is running particularly slowly today. Okay, can everyone see the photograph that's up on the screen here?
Yes.
Okay. Inspector Moto, is this the subject property?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, and you noted that there is only one means of egress from this unit, and you noted the windows. So is that the window to the basement unit in this screen here on this
At the
image?
bottom,
Excuse me?
yes, sir.
Okay. And is that window, and can you explain why that is not an alternative means of egress for the occupant here?
The window would have to be openable to a large enough space to allow the average size adult to be able to fit through. Or if we were seeking the fire department to be able to go in and extract them, the average size fireman with all his turnout gear and equipment, there's no way in the world he'd be able to fit in there. The best they could hope to do is throw water in through that opening and hope to try to cool things down, but they wouldn't be able to go in. The door that you should see in the next photograph is the only means of egress to that basement unit.
Okay, and I'm going to bring up that photograph in 1 second. Okay, and Inspector Moto, I neglected to do this with the last image, but is this an image that L&I, well, first off, is this the subject property?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay, and is a fair and accurate representation of the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is this an image that came from L&I's files?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you describe to the board what is shown in this image here?
What we're looking at is from the end of the alleyway, the photograph encompasses what would be the rear yard of the property. As you see, there is a red deck that extends out from the second floor. It would be the first floor in the front of the property, but the second floor here in the rear. That deck extends out. If we walk underneath the deck, we come to the door in front of us. That is the entry door to this unit. Immediately upon walking in, we'll see the electrical panel to our right and the open junctions to our left, and then the apartment would open behind that, but with, again, no other usable windows or doors for egress.
Okay. And Inspector Moto, are you aware of any appeal being filed concerning that notice of violation?
Other than this one?
Correct. So the actual notice of violation rather than the intent to cease.
Forgive me, sir. Can you give me that one more time?
Did anyone appeal the notice of violation in addition
not-
to appealing the intent to cease?
Not to the best of my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. And finally, so I'm going to remove this from the screen, excuse me. Thank you, Inspector Moto. The one additional thing I'd like to note, just for the record, to put the emphasis on it, is that I believe that the appellant actually agreed that these are dangerous conditions, and he believes that the unit is a danger. So I don't, again, I don't believe that is in dispute, and I think that that's clearly demonstrated by the record at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's nothing else from anyone else, and we will then call the vote on this matter. That's HA 2021-004814, Ronald DeFlorio, 2853 South Randolph Street, City of Fern.
Mr. Woodson, do we need to give any time period before the city should enforce the stay?
Well, I was leaving that to the discretion of between Mr. Rulo, given his willingness to negotiate an end date with Mr. DeFlorio.
I was going to, if I may interject momentarily, I was going to request that we do 21 days rather than 30.
Okay.
I think there's an agreement that this is a dangerous condition, but we understand that he needs, and in consulting with the department, I think under the circumstances, we can give him some time here to get out. Since it's been around 2 weeks, I would just request that it be no more than 21 days under the circumstances.
Okay, we will incorporate that into the record then. City of Fern with a 21 days stay of enforcement.
City affirmed 21-day stay of enforcement.
City affirm 21-day stay of enforcement.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. DeFlorio, we've affirmed you got 21 days to move.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, that completes my business and that of Inspector Moto. I'd asked if we can be excused.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to, I believe, Lancaster Avenue, 4345.
Thank you, members of the board.
Johnson, are we going to try this one more time? Mr. Cohen, I'm sorry.
Is Ms. Nelson here? I see her on the phone.
I'm here, but I don't see you guys.
Okay, do you have your camera on? Your video,
All I
does it
see is
say?
all I see is telephone numbers now. I don't know how
Okay,
to
Ms.
get you guys.
Nelson, do you see an email with a link to the Zoom link for this hearing?
No, let's see. Let me join. Join. No, not at all.
Now, Ms. Nelson, you were visible for it at least once. What did you do to make yourself visible earlier?
I didn't do anything. Someone tried to call me on my phone and it shot everything out. Okay.
I'm not sure. How did you connect to us before? You were connected twice. Do you have a computer handy that you're using, or just your telephone?
No, I'm using my cell phone. It says here, join with
Video.
personal link name.
I'm sorry, it says join with what?
Personal link name.
Okay, do you also see an image that says join with video or allow video?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, click on that personal link name, see what happens.
I'm clicking on it. I would actually have to put okay. Personal link name.
Mr. Cohen, do you know if your inspector has met Ms. Nelson personally and can verify?
I believe on November 9th. And Ms. Nelson, I just emailed you a link that when you open your email, you should be able to click the link and join the Zoom proceeding with video. Just check your email and see if it's arrived.
All right, thank you.
And Inspector, if you could turn on video and unmute just so we have you. And are we able to hear you, Inspector?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Join with video.
Hey, excellent.
Now it says to hear others join with audio.
Yeah, click
And
that
it
as well.
says, I did, but nothing's happened.
You're being connected. We see the dots moving. You're being connected. Can you hear us?
I can hear you all, but I can't see anything. It says Wi-Fi or cellular data, and it says dial in, no audio.
Okay, don't do anything else. You may not be able to see us.
Now there's a telephone.
Okay, but you can see us, correct?
Now I can, yes.
Okay, good. Okay,
It's interchanging between you and the phone.
okay. We're going to proceed. Ms. Nelson, would you raise your right hand so that, well, Ms. Richardson, read the case into the file, please. And Ms. Nelson, once she's done it, then I'll swear you in. You can place your hand down for the moment.
Yes, sir. Case number 10, appeal number HA-2021-004461, 4345 Lancaster Avenue, Eleanor Nelson.
Okay, Ms. Nelson, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down. Mr. Cohen, before we begin, I just want to establish the ownership situation here. Do you know what that might be?
I actually can speak to that. The owner of the real property at issue, as an offer of proof, is Eleanor Nelson. Eleanor Nelson also operates the restaurant at 4345 Lancaster.
Okay, thank you very much. And is owned in her name as an individual, not as a corporate entity.
That's correct. Both restaurant operation and owner of on the deed as an individual.
Okay, thank you. So would you then proceed, Mr. Cohen?
Yes. And actually, I would like to cut to the chase, if that's all right.
Sure.
As an offer of proof, what I will have Inspector De Jesus testify to is that in this particular case, the restaurant is operating without a food license. There was a food license issued to Ms. Nelson that expired in 2015. It has not since been renewed. Now, in June of 2020, so over a year ago, L&I issued a notice of violations to Ms. Nelson. One of those violations was lack of a food license. That notice of violations wasn't appealed, so those violations are deemed admitted. And only on October 4th, when L&I issued the intent to cease for lack of a food license, 3 days later, Ms. Nelson then applied to renew the food license that had been 6 years expired. However, because it had been expired 6 years, there's over $3,000 in fees and penalties to reissue this 6 years expired license. And those fees haven't yet been paid. So essentially what this case is about, Ms. Nelson would like this board to allow her to violate the law, to continue to operate the restaurant and gain business from the restaurant without a food license. And what the city is asking the board to do is to either have Ms. Nelson by December 1st, pay those fees to get the license renewed, and then she can continue operating, or to shut down as of December 1st until such time as she pays the fees and renews her license.
Okay, all righty. Thank you very much. Do you have any testimony that you want to put in from your inspector?
Yes, Inspector, if you could, well, if we could swear him in first.
Sure. Mr. De Jesus, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. Place your hand down. Mr.
And
Cohen?
if you don't mind, members of the board, I'd like to share on my screen the exhibits packet that I emailed, I think on
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
And can everyone see the packet that's on my screen?
Yes.
I know the text is small. I'm going to fix that when we go through the exhibits. So
Okay.
Inspector De Jesus, if you could please state for the record your position with L&I and how many years you've been with L.
I've been with L&I for 4 years now. I'm West Operations Inspections.
And in the course of your duties in West Operations Inspections, have you been to 4345 Lancaster Avenue?
Yes.
So I'm going to go to page 2 in the packet. It's exhibit C1, and I will zoom in to make sure everyone can see. Everyone see this exhibit?
Yes.
Inspector, what is this exhibit that I have on my screen?
That is a notice of violation and order to correct.
And when was this issued?
It was issued 6/24 of 2020.
I'm sorry, 24 or 627?
That's just failed my vision.
Can you see on the screen?
Yes.
Now, this notice of violations, is this a document that L&I prepares in the ordinary course of business? Inspector?
Yes.
And is the information that goes into this document entered by L&I inspectors who've been to the property?
Yes.
And what violations were issued as part of this notice?
It was a violation for the food license and violations for a fire alarm system and a violation.
Tell me if you need to scroll.
No, it just says a fire alarm system required for the commercial and the single family.
Is that a mixed use property? We
Yes.
talked about it in the previous hearing.
Yes.
Now I'm going to scroll down. What other violations are at issue at this property?
It was for a commercial kitchen hood, fire extinguishers, emergency lighting, and the required fire extinguisher in the kitchen, K-type.
And just to explain, what's a commercial kitchen hood? What is that violation there?
That would be for, well, there's half of kitchen hood, but there's lack of one on the other side of the kitchen.
Well, it's even more basic. What is a kitchen hood? What is this violation referring to?
Kitchen hood is just to protect the business and the residents upstairs in case there's a fire at the, to extinguish it at the kitchen.
Thank you. And I'm going to go to the next notice, which is Exhibit C2 in the packet on page 8. Inspector, oh, sorry, I haven't scrolled there yet. Sorry, Inspector, this is now page 8, Exhibit C2 in the packet. What is this document?
That is the intent to cease.
And when was it issued?
That was issued 10/04 of 2021.
And is this a document that LNI produces in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
And is the information that goes into this document something that's entered by LNI inspectors who've been to the property?
Yes.
And what is the grounds for this cease? What are the corrections that are needed?
It will be to obtain the full license.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to go to Exhibit C5 in the packet, which is at page 26. Inspector, what is this document that I'm showing on screen?
That is a little small. That's an eclipse. It's showing that it shows if they've submitted any type of licenses applications.
Specifically with respect to this license type, food preparing and serving, license number 201571 on the screen. When was it last effective?
It was effective in 2014, May 16th.
And when did it expire?
April 30th, 2015.
And if someone who has who used to hold this license applies to renew, would there be a business license job entered in LNI's record keeping system?
Yes, it should generate something. Yes.
I'm scrolling now to labeled as Exhibit C7 on page 30 of the packet. What is this that I'm showing on my screen?
That is payment.
Do I need to enlarge it? Or is the text too small?
It is a little bit too small, but it seems like it was a payment for the license.
So hold on one moment. I'm going to scroll to the next page. What is this on screen?
A pending payment.
Okay, when was this application submitted?
It was submitted October 7th, 2021.
And as you said, what status is this application in right now?
Just in pending.
All right, I'm scrolling down one more page. We're now on page 32 of the packet. Can you read the text that's on screen? I know it's very small.
Yes.
So what does this page show?
Also payment pending for the full license.
In what amount?
$3,367.50.
And what's the actual fee for the current year's license?
I believe 150. I'm sorry, I don't work for license issuance.
Oh, sorry. The first number right at the top here that says description, food preparing and serving. How much is this specific item?
I apologize. $285.
And then down here where it says past renewal fee, how much is that amount?
$1,755.
So is that accounting for the past 6 years that this license has been expired?
Yes.
Let's go back up to page 13 in the packet. I'm going to just make this a little smaller so that everyone can see. Inspector, what is this that I'm showing on?
That is the side entrance of the property.
More importantly, who took the photograph that's being depicted here?
That picture was myself.
And when did you take that photo?
And I'm out on the road. I didn't write that down.
Well, if you can give me an estimate, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, like probably like 2 weeks ago.
And does this photograph depict the conditions at that property as of 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
So you said this is the side of the property. I'm going to scroll down. There's a few photos in this particular exhibit. What are we seeing in this photograph?
That is in the interior now, towards in the back of the kitchen, the exit doors, one of the exit doors.
And it looks like there's an illuminated exit sign.
Yes.
Is there anything else required in this photo with respect to fire safety, fire lighting?
Yes, the back doors shouldn't have turned.
Sorry, are you referring to the lock that's down there on the back door?
Yes, turn lock.
So what is required for a fire exit door?
It should be, well, the CO should be some type of it's just regular, something that shouldn't be so difficult to open.
Would it be like I forget what they're called. It's like a push bar.
Panic hardware.
Yes. Is it? So what is panic hardware?
That would be, so it wouldn't be, it would be easier just to open the door instead of trying to turn the lock.
And should the door open inward or outward as a fire door?
Usually outward.
And does this door open outward or inward?
Inward.
So scrolling down to the next photo, which I believe is page 15 in the packet, what is depicted in this photo?
That is a picture of a fire extinguisher.
Is this fire extinguisher the appropriate type for a commercial kitchen?
No.
And what type is required for a commercial kitchen?
Type K.
And why is that? Why would a type K be required instead of what's depicted here?
The type K would be for turning off oil fires.
And is this type of fire extinguisher good at extinguishing oil fires?
No.
Scrolling down, what is depicted in this photograph?
Another rear exit with an illuminated exit sign.
And are there any issues with the fire egress at this exit?
The same, the door swung inward instead of outward.
Is it also an issue that there seems to be some kind of pipes or wires blocking the illuminated exit sign?
At the time, we took the picture now.
Okay. I'm scrolling down to the next photograph. What's depicted in this photograph?
That is the suppression system that was there. But it's not tagged or anything.
And what is needed to get that suppression system up to code?
It would be a licensed contractor, fire contractor.
And what does this suppression system do?
Suppress the fire over in the kitchen area.
And actually, I think, yes, if I scroll to the next photo, what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes, that is underneath the hood that they do have.
And what are these pipes that we see extending, sort of dangling down inside the hood?
There's sprinklers, basically fire sprinklers.
And are those sufficient for a kitchen hood of this size?
Yes.
Scrolling down over here, what's depicted in this photograph?
The same, just a different angle.
Okay. And scrolling down one more, what's depicted in that photograph?
The same angle, different angle.
And scrolling down to this photograph, What's depicted here?
That is the actual barbecue pit with and the outside of the fire suppression hood.
And I'm scrolling down to the next photo as well. If you could tell us what's depicted in there.
Yes, the barbecue pit.
So just to show the two photos back to back, one of them looks sort of upward and the other looks sort of downward. Is that right?
Yes.
And is there any hood or any exhaust system above the barbecue pit?
Yes.
You can show us where that's depicted in the photo.
It would be further up.
Oh, sorry, is it this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, and scrolling down to the photo on page 23, what's depicted here?
That is on the other side of the kitchen where there isn't any fire hoods.
And should there be a hood over that oven and range that's depicted right there in the lower left-hand part of the photo?
Yes.
And what is depicted in this photograph on page 24?
This is the interior leading towards the front and an exit sign also.
Lastly, what's depicted in this photo?
There's the front where there should be a pull station for the fire alarm system.
And is there a pull station in this photo?
No.
All right. Now, when a fire alarm system is required in a property and there is none, what would the property owner need to do to start the process of installing a fire alarm system?
Contact a licensed contractor.
And then what would that contractor have to do?
Take out an electrical permit.
And I'm going to go to page 33 in the packet. This is listed as Exhibit C8. Inspector, what is depicted on screen here? I'll make
That is posse where we would search for any permits being processed.
Are there any permits or permit applications for 4344?
No, not showing in this screen, no.
Thank you very much, Inspector. Unless the board has any other questions for the inspector, I would ask that Ms. Nelson.
I just want to confirm if I've heard everything correctly. The actual intent to cease was issued for failure to have a food license, but there are also serious fire code violations at the property. So I guess I would just want to confirm that even if the $3,600 roughly was paid to obtain a food license, would the owner be able to resume or be in business, or would there still be the fire code violations, which apparently are not the subject of the cease order? I guess I need to have that clarified.
No, that's a very astute question. If I can address it as counsel for the city.
Yes, please.
So there are independent grounds, like board member Pincus was saying. There are independent grounds for a safety cease. That hasn't yet been the case here. The main issue here is the lack of a food license, and under the health code, I think 6-301, the restaurant can't be in operation without a license. That said, the restaurant also needs to address these safety concerns. But I think what we're saying here today is L&I is willing to work with the restaurant to address the safety concerns. But as board member Pincus pointed out, if those safety concerns aren't addressed, the city reserves the right to issue a new cease on that basis.
Well, I also would have concerns regarding the fire safety. Is the residential unit occupied? Ms. Nelson probably should answer that. Ms. Nelson?
No, it's not. No, it's not, sir.
Okay, upstairs is vacant. Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Cohen, you have anything else?
Just to make sure that Ms. Nelson can ask questions of Inspector De Jesus while he's here.
Yes.
And Ms. Nelson, if you need me to scroll to any exhibits, let me know.
Ms. Nelson, you have the right to cross-examine Mr. DeJesus, the inspector, but I'd ask you to limit your questions to his testimony. Any general statements you want to make, you can make after you've done that. You understand?
I understand.
Okay, so do you have any questions of Mr. Inspector DeJesus?
Only a couple. Like when I showed him my extinguishers, I bought those extinguishers from General Kitchen, and I requested K fire extinguishers, and they were in boxes that said that they were K fire extinguishers. So I thought that's what I had. I wasn't told they weren't K. I thought I had the right thing. I really did.
How are they marked on the extinguisher itself? Is there a label on the extinguisher?
The only thing I saw in your exhibits, it said what it contained.
But
I can go back to that page if you'd like.
Yeah, but the extinguishers themselves, the ones that are in your location, what does it say on the extinguisher? Did you take a look at it?
Not today, because I wasn't aware that they weren't K, but I purchased them from General Kitchen and they were supposed to be K fire extinguishers.
Okay, but you aren't answering my question. When you took them out of the box, when you looked at them, what did they say?
I apologize, sir. I only looked at them as fire extinguishers. I didn't look for K. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Since the
all right,
box says K, I thought I had that.
Okay. Do you have any other questions of the Inspector DeJesus?
Okay, and I wasn't told that I had the wrong kind of door, because what I have been doing is I've been addressing the issues from the violations, trying to take care of them.
Okay,
Just
but that
like
isn't the
when it
question.
came-
I need you, if you have a question, please ask the question. You understand?
I do understand. I don't want to seem irreverent. I don't want to say, why wasn't I told that I had the wrong kind of door? So for the only way I can try to do what you need me to do is be notified of the fact that it was incorrect, and I wasn't.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Cohen, though, would you mind bringing up that photograph, that image of the
course.
fire extinguisher? Is there a way to focus in on that, see if there's any identifying marks on the label?
Inspector, are you still there?
Yes.
Could you point out for me where there are any identifying marks on this extinguisher?
There's a label, it says ABC dry chemical.
Yes, okay.
Is
I see
that here?
It's on the side, on the bottle itself, on the body of the extinguisher.
Oh, and it's here as well.
Now, is Inspector DeJesus, your testimony is that should have said K, should be a K extinguisher?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just to point out for the record, there's actually on this red tag over here, it says purple K PK. Inspector, is that the type of fire extinguisher that you're talking about?
I'm sorry, I don't see where you're pointing at.
Do you see my cursor on the screen?
Yes.
So there's actually here, there's purple K, and then 2 underneath that, it says class K. Are those some of the types of fire extinguishers that you're talking about?
Yes, it would be that type, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Cohen?
I have a further question, because I'm looking through the notice of fire code violations. And while I do understand the observations made by Inspector DeJesus, actually the door issues do not appear to be included in the violation notice. Am I missing something, or is that correct? I mean, they may be violated, but they don't appear to be listed in the notice.
I think you are correct, board member. I think that would be potentially a separate notice of violation if L&I were to issue it. But I would also ask the inspector, is that something that would get caught in, say, a certificate of occupancy inspection?
Yes. that normally should get caught once the CO is obtained.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Cohen?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I just have bare arguments at the end, but we should hear from Ms. Nelson first.
Okay, Ms. Nelson, it's your opportunity now to share with us your understanding of the status of things and to explain why you do not have the proper licenses when you have other violations.
Okay. First of all, I have tried on numerous occasions to go down to get a license starting from 2015. And when I went down, I was told that I had taxes that were due and I had to enter a payment agreement before I could get a license. So I did actually enter a payment agreement. The gentleman that handled me was Mr. Bruce Horn, who's no longer with the city, and his assistant was Tom O'Neill. I was paying $1,000 a month, and then Mr. Horn retired. Mr. O'Neill got a new job. Things got financially harder for me, so I wasn't able to make $1,000 a month. So of course my agreement defaulted. I came down and tried to pay more because it was November, then my December payment was due. I came and tried to pay more and I was told, you can pay it if you want to, but once you've defaulted, you're just giving money and it's not addressing the payment agreement. So that's why
What year was that? What year was that you defaulted?
I think it was like 2015. I actually have a receipt here where I had made $1,000 payment and a $500 payment.
What
A
are the
$1,500
dates?
payment.
What are the dates of those payments?
I'm gonna have to actually go move because in trying to get in here and get set up on Zoom, I didn't bring that in here, but I can leave the room and go get that in a moment.
Oh, that's
But
okay. That's okay. We don't want to stop. We want to keep moving.
Okay, that's the reason why I don't have a license. In reference to the fines and fees that are due for the present license, I took the money down. But first of all, I requested of the lady, because I don't have an Eclipse account, that she would give me a bill so that I can pay the bill cash. And when I went to pay the bill cash, I was told, you're not going to get your license because, one, your license would not be handed to you. It would be handed to the Department of Health, and the Department of Health would have an inspector come out and give you your license. Now, I was also told that I had other issues, taxes that had to be due. So I went and I got a list of all the taxes and stuff that I do, missing tax returns and so forth. And what I've been doing is collecting them together so they can be entered online so that I could actually get a payment agreement, because I spoke to law in reference to a payment agreement, and they told me I had to have all these returns done before they could tell me what they'd be willing to offer me as a payment agreement, because the total package would reflect the amount owed. So that's what I'm working on now. When it comes to refuge, I've always had a private hauler, and refuge is saying I owe them like $5,000 or $6,000. When I've been down to the city a couple times, I've gotten exemptions. Other times I wasn't aware they were holding me for not having a hauler when my haulers had been registered with the city. So I have
I would believe that-
documentation.
But Ms. Nelson, the hauler matter isn't part of this issue. I don't think this is part of
Well,
it.
in terms of me settling everything where I could get a license, these are the things that I was told that I had to do first before I could get a license,
Okay.
because I was prepared to pay that money.
Let me ask a couple questions that may help us through this. How long have you been the owner of the restaurant?
Since October 31st of 86.
So you've
1980.
operated, okay, you've operated Dwight's Barbecue in your name since 1986.
Yes, I have.
Okay. At that point, and from that day to the 20, I guess, when your license went into default, you were paid the monthly or the annual fees?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And do you have an accountant who handles all your taxes and everything for you?
I've had a number of different accountants. Like when my problems really first started, my accountant was found dead in the bathtub of a drug overdose. So I've had other accountants.
Okay. So do you have an accountant now who's handling matters for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. A new one.
Do you have a lawyer who's working for you?
No, I don't.
Okay. The significant issues of fire code violations, since you've been in operation since 1986, how long is that? Means you've been in operation for close to 40 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said, is it your testimony that you're not aware of the requirements for fire code, fire extinguishers, and that sort of thing?
Well, sir, I've had my install system, which I was proud of, and I thought I was doing well. The K
Was it
fire
last inspected?
extinguishers.
But when was it? When was your instance?
It was a while ago, but I've actually had the person who installed my install system come in to inspect it a
When
few
did that
weeks
happen?
ago, and that's Schweitzer Fire Protection, and
did
they're
they
going to
get?
upgrade.
So did they tell
They're
you
gonna-
that it passed inspection when it came in?
They told me that my equipment is old and it has to be upgraded, and I have
Okay.
my quote, which they just gave me yesterday.
Okay,
I
now,
had to keep calling.
before you go on, I want to ask something. When was that the first time they've been in since when?
2000 something. It's not tagged. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, well, the issue here is this, and this is raised the concern I have, is that you're an experienced operator of a restaurant, but your company, your operation has not maintained a quality operation in terms of the fire code or health code. You should be
The
having
health
that.
code, I'm really.
You should have annual
I
inspections. You should be having annual inspections on your fire systems. Your hood system should be up to date because that's a significant fire hazard if something goes wrong. I'm just concerned that all of these things should be happening every day. I mean, every year, as opposed to every 5, 6, or 20 years.
Well, I apologize for them not happening every year. And I've worked at all of these things. Even tomorrow, Brian's fire alarm is coming out at 11 o'clock about a fire alarm. And Schweitzer, I have not only their quote, but I have a letter. This is why I initially requested more time, because when I speak to technicians in this day and time since COVID, the first thing they do is they make an apology in advance for how long it's going to take for them to deliver their service. And in the terms and conditions from Schweitzer, it says, terms and conditions.
Okay,
10
there's no
to
need,
20 weeks.
ma'am, Ms. Nelson, there's no need to read it. We understand. But the point is that all of these matters are very, very old. These are not new and recent issues. So that's the concern. The city has put on the record that if you are prepared to make the outstanding payment by December 1, or I believe it's essentially pay the fine and renew your license by December 1, at least that overcomes the first hurdle, which is to cease operations. Is that correct, Mr. Cohen?
That's correct. And I actually have a clarifying question for Ms. Nelson on the point about the health inspection.
Yeah, please.
Ms. Nelson, as the board pointed out, there are annual inspections required, health inspections required for operating restaurants. That's actually rolled into the annual license renewal process. When I was preparing this case, I actually reached out to the health department, and they informed me that you can schedule a health inspection for the purpose of your license application concurrent to while you're in payment pending status. Have you reached out to the health department to try and schedule a health inspection?
Yes, sir. I had one on the last day that I saw Inspector DeJesus. And that was Tuesday of last week, and I passed. And
did you get, I think it's called a license eligibility report from the health department?
Right, my inspector told me that when I, like he had a copy of my Safe Serve certificate in his phone, but he told me that I had to go down to the Department of Health, and besides the certificate that I had, take a copy of that certificate and $30, and they would issue me my LER so that I could get my license. And I've done that. Now, I have not been able to get back in contact with Mr. Stephen Reynolds to let him know that when I went down, I called the telephone number and the person told me that being that I didn't have an appointment, I would have to drop my information in the Dropbox, which I did, so that, you know, we could get this moving.
But it sounds like you did drop off your LER, the license eligibility report,
Yes.
with L&I?
Yes,
Excellent, thank you.
with the Department of Health.
Oh, sorry, with the Department of Health. Did you send a copy of the LER to the Department of Licenses and Inspections?
Mr. Reynolds told me he was going to actually pick it up and bring it to me, and I would make sure I would get in contact with Mr. DeJesus because I do have his number to let him know I had it.
Those are all the questions I have for Ms. Nelson.
Okay, now, just for clarity. Yes, Ms. Nelson, you have something else you want to add?
I just need your help in that I had this money and I've already taken it down to the city, but I was told I couldn't get my license. All I want to do is be able to take that money down and actually get my license because the lady already gave me the bill for it. You're saying that I can get it, but I've been told I couldn't get it.
Well, one of the reasons why I did ask about the LER is that is a separate piece that you would need in order to get the license issued. And it sounds like you have that piece. I'm not certain that it has gotten into the right hands yet. If you still have a copy, it may be helpful when you go to licenses and inspections to drop off payment to have that copy of your LER with you.
Okay.
Okay. And just for clarity's sake, it appears that one of your exhibits, Mr. Cohen, indicated that Ms. Nelson had initiated a payment that's required by December 1st.
I believe you may be referring to Exhibit C7.
Yes.
That is in payment pending status, meaning the payment hasn't yet been received.
Oh, it has not been received.
Yes. So I believe once that has been received and processed, I believe that will be updated in the POSSE system. And I would actually ask Inspector DeJesus to clarify that while he's still on the phone with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Inspector, when the payment is received, what update to status will be entered into the POSSE system?
It should enter business license inspection.
And what's required at that stage?
For all the payments to be in and the LER to be obtained.
And then after that, would L&I then issue the license?
License issuance, yes, should.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So in essence, Ms. Nelson, I believe if you have a check and or cash, however the city requires, I would recommend that you make that payment as soon as you can. That would be helpful to your case, and then get those other matters resolved. Is there anything else from anyone else?
Actually, I believe at this time the city doesn't need to make final argument. I believe the board understands the city's position.
Okay,
What is the relief that you would ask us to, or what is the determination you would ask us to make today based on Ms. Nelson's testimony as to, I think, the effort she's making to try to get this on track again?
The city would ask that this case be marked city affirmed, but with the understanding that the city has already said will not issue a cease until December 1st. So we're giving a grace period. And that it seems like all of the pieces are in place or are very close to being in place for the license to be issued. We just want to make sure that this license is issued by December 1st.
And this is with respect to the food license, is that correct, Mr. Cohen?
That's correct.
okay. All right, thank you. If there's nothing else, Ms. Nelson, you have anything else before we vote?
No, I just want to thank you for helping me out. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. We will then call the vote. Regarding HA-2021-004461, Eleanor Nelson, 4345 Lancaster Avenue, city affirmed.
Again, Mr. Woodson, should there be a stay of enforcement until December 1st?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me that. Please note that the city affirmed with the stay of enforcement until December 1st.
City affirmed with a stay of enforcement until December 1st, 2021.
Thank you.
City affirm stay of enforcement till December 1st, 2021.
Thank you. Ms. Nelson, Mr. Cohen, that ends our business for today.
Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And
Have a
thank
good
you,
day.
Inspector.
Okay, everybody have a good day. I just need the board for 2 minutes for a quick executive summary and we'll be done.
We can stop the recording now.